Some people are afraid to give their fingerprints when applying for Schengen visa, identifying this with the seal of Antichrist, and therefore refuse to travel to holy places, for example, to Mount Athos, causing confusion in others about how one ought to act. There are many such questions on this topic or related to it. The reason why there are so many questions like this? Because we know from the Bible that before the end of the world, the Antichrist will reign for 3.5 years, doing everything possible to ruin humanity for eternity. He will succeed in many things, and he will use human technological means. This will be expressed in certain digital technologies. The Bible foretold this 2,000 years ago. Now digital technologies have appeared, and with them, it is possible to control people, to put the entire planet under surveillance. You already know this without me. Today, they carry out investigations using modern means, first and foremost through mobile phones, their signals, digital technologies, and so on. For example, regarding large sums of money, all banks, transfers, transactions, it's preferable to use cashless payments, that is, dead numbers instead of living money. And so it is in other matters. Now all tax identification numbers, everything is digits. In fact, each one of us has become a number in society, just a number. Tax IDs, in particular, digital identifiers for every person. We understand this is not evil, and there are many positive things to say here. But the Bible says 2,000 years ago it was written in the Apocalypse of John the theologian that this would happen, and that the Antichrist use it to gain power over people, so that without it one could neither buy nor sell. Just as now people buy or sell with cards, through numbers, through digits, but it will only become destructive for us when global power is in the hands of Antichrist, and he demands to be acknowledged as God and that the people renounce Christ. Whoever does this will receive these cards numbers and be able to buy and sell, as it were, but whoever does not will be granted the honorable right to die of hunger and cold. Some will be executed publicly, and we know this. That's why all numbers and digital technologies frighten us, especially because they're being imposed aggressively, forcibly. It scares us. We understand that the march of the time is being fulfilled and the prophecies are coming true. It is clear we are close to the end, but all the same, this is in itself is not evil. It will only become evil when it falls into the hands of the Antichrist, when one cannot use digital technologies without denying Christ. Then it will become the seal of the Antichrist. For now, it is not. For now, there is no sin, but gradually they are preparing us to live only in this way, artificially, lifelessly, like in a greenhouse, in a digital world. They are driving us into a virtual world, separating us from the natural one. Here's an example. Suppose the topic is, how will you live if your pension is taken away? If they stop paying you, many would faint at the thought. They can't imagine a life without it. But I ask, how did people live for millennia without pensions? I'll tell you how. They sang songs, rejoiced, celebrated holidays. Of course, there were sorrows too, but they lived, normally lived. Even now, in many countries, pensions doesn't exist. People live wonderfully. We have been artificially put in such greenhouse that we can't even imagine life without pensions in old age. It seems one couldn't survive, but they not only survived, they lived and rejoiced. Do you see what artificial mindset have been forced on us? How they have reshaped us? We are now afraid of non-existent fears. Isn't that true? Yes, and it's the same in many other areas. Suppose I say, bring me a box, everyone put your cell phones inside, and we'll throw them in the trash. Some would have nervous breakdowns right there. We'd have to take them to a psychiatric hospital. They simply couldn't live without it. But again, how did people live for thousands of years without it? My answer, joyfully. Joyfully. They lived joyfully. They have been driven into an artificial environment. But why does this artificial environment work? What bait is put on the hook? Comfort, pleasure, entertainment. They didn't catch us with the cell phones, numbers, or technologies. They caught us with the comfort, pleasures, and entertainment. And we've made this the main thing in life: comfort, pleasure, entertainment. When it is absent, we're lost. Why do Orthodox Christians now fast so little? Even believers are afraid of fasting, because it requires struggle, effort, labor. And yet effort is precisely what is needed. But we want comfort, pleasure, entertainment. So how do people fast today? Comfortably. For example, soy products, meat substitutes, tasty little treats. On Orthodox websites there is constant talk about how to bake Lenten pies, entire books on Orthodox cuisine, nothing more, just to keep it comfortable. And that's why it's destructive. That's why it leads to ruin. So, my dear ones, this is what traps us. Those who fear digital things, I repeat this, it's not yet the manifestation of the Antichrist, but it will lead us there. The Bible says so. It will come, we will be driven there. To avoid being caught off guard, let us not relax, let us not become slaves of comfort, pleasure, and entertainment.